What's up, people? This is Zach, your coach of the Secret Garden Hoopas, and as you can tell, this is not Evan's voice. This is my voice. Evan is gone this week. But instead of Evan, we got Zach back. What's up, Zach?
What's up? Where is the Secret Garden? What game is that from?
It is from the anime where Latios and Latias are from, I think.
I'm on like episode 23 of the Indigo League right now.
Okay, yeah, so. You know what? I'm gonna butt in. Yes, it's from the movie.
And as you heard, there's Raul. Raul's back.
Hello, it's me again. Sadly,
I gave Raul I gave Raul a responsibility of giving me final scores of some of these matches this week, so I had to let him on the cast.
I did a grown-up thing, and I'm very proud of it.
And a newcomer we have with us is Isaiah.
It's me, your boy,
Yay!
the Caterpies.
Yeah, the Caterpies. Isaiah, my friend that has just joined the league for this off-season thing, is here with us on an episode already. So, in an effort to get things going, I think we're just going to go ahead and get straight into the matches this week. They were kind of wild, especially Zach's, but we'll save his for last.
Drama.
So, as you can see, here are the final scores of each match. We're just going to go in order. This was the hot take that Evan gave us last week, is that we go in order from top to bottom.
I like that. I figured.
It was
Everyone should.
A very original idea, and I'm glad Evan gave it to us. We wouldn't have known.
That's what we need him for, that creativity.
What a mastermind.
So, my match, obviously up there, Hoopas v Entei, it was me versus Dan. Me losing 6-2 is not something many people predicted.
And that game had some extraneous circumstances going on with it as well.
Very extraneous.
I heard about it, and it sounds very annoying.
So
it also continues your streak of not performing well against weather.
Yeah. Well, one, I don't perform well against weather. Two, I don't perform well at 2 a.m. Three. And three, Dan and I were both over that match after a certain point. If you watch, I'm just going to throw it out there, anyone watching this match back is going to have no fucking clue what's going on for the first half of it.
I was confused when I was taken down on.
So they were attempting to recreate after a disconnect.
Yeah, so we disconnected like nearly a half hour into the match.
Jesus.
So we had to try to recreate conditions, which meant like I only brought 4 of my Pokemon, he only brought 5 of them, and we had to get them down to like approximate health ranges, with items knocked off and statuses applied. And like there's no way you can get it perfect, so like my Ambipom was a little lower than it should have been, but my Mantine was slightly higher than it should have been. So it threw it off. I think the recreation gave me the 6-2. I think Dan would have won regardless. I'm going to say that now because I was on the ropes, but I don't think he would have won 6-2 until we did all this.
It's hard. Stuff. It's hard. I guess I hold the opinion for recreations. I understand the validity of why they happen and why they're necessary after a disconnect. And actually, my first match against Jake, we disconnected twice, and we tried to recreate it those 2 times. And after that, it was so troublesome to go through it that we were just like, okay, I know as much about your team as you know about my team. Let's just reset the battle with those parameters in mind. So I think if I have any more disconnects, I am the type of person, I think just resetting the battle. Because if you have a good opponent as well, you can both use that to your advantage. Like if I'm playing against an absolute amateur newbie, I would obviously use that to my distinct advantage. But in this situation, I think that a full reset would provide an easier time.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the person to make that call because I was the one on the ropes, so I let Dan make the call on that. I think it definitely would have benefited me though, because like we both revealed like grand strategies, and my strategy was a last resort Victini that was going to kill anything regardless of what he did, except for his Mandibuzz, which would bring it down to like 9 HP, which I'm not worried about. And then he revealed he revealed his grand thing, which was a Z-Fly Thunderous. That is much more useful information to me than my
very valuable information to you.
Than my Victini is to him, because then my Mega Venusaur says he did it to Oko my Mega Venusaur. I wasn't even thinking about it. I thought he might run a Z Psychic, but he didn't. He ran Z Fly.
Yeah, I would think that, and then HP Flying for Thunderous.
Yep. So he did a physical with Z Fly. It Oko'd my Venusaur. So You won't see it on the tape because we had to recreate it, but anyway.
Definitely looking back at Dan's team from the very beginning when we were drafting, to think that he'd be second.
Yeah, we'll get into results, but Dan is actually up there right now. Surprisingly.
Once Dan gets a rain team in his hands, he knows what he's doing. It's when he's
Hmm.
using any other team.
Has he used the rain team so far?
Yeah, he's used
Because he used
sand against you.
He used sand with me. Did he use rain on you?
Yeah, he used rain against me. My Victini O code is Mega Swampert with Last Resort. Yeah, he did it, and he said I did it to him, and then I just looked at Discord and he wrote, "I hate you." But I've wanted to bring that set ever since I had Victini like 2 seasons ago.
We should probably get into the next.
Yeah, let's look. Sneasel
There was something I did want to mention, but I can't remember. My thoughts on weather teams, especially rain teams. This is not. I know this is gonna sound like it, but it's not a slight at Dan. I just think taking a rain team is just like getting a head start on everything. Like you're taking a team that already has so much synergy and works super well together, and like all the conditions are stacked in your favor every match with your rain team. It's just like, I don't know, it feels like such a crutch to me.
It's free boosts.
Yeah, so many boosts. You get you bring Pokemon that benefit from the resistances and everything.
Rain is definitely the best weather as well. It's so hard to play around rain, and
yeah,
it really is. It's a powerful strategy.
Anyway, we can get into Evan and David's match. I feel like I talked a little too much about mine, so I will let Zeshe take the floor with this one.
Yeah.
This one is not as close as I would have thought it would be. That's really all I got.
Okay.
That's all I have. That's all I have. It's just I never
good.
thought it was a bit that close.
It's one of those matches where Evan is a very meticulous battler. Evan plays very carefully.
Yeah.
And he plays to preserve. So I guess I have to stop being surprised by the differentials in Evan's matches, but he plays to preserve, and he plays that well, and he drafts well to that strategy. So
yeah, he plays slow and he doesn't take risks. That's how you get.
He does not take risks.
He always he told me that he loved like games that involve with strategy and all that. So
yes. Insider intel from Roll.
Yes. So yeah, there's a scoop on him. That's a secret weapon.
So yeah, that was a pretty. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it. I hope David starts. I want to see David get some wins because I've heard a lot about David, and I really like some of the Pokemon on his teams. So
he's got a super powerful team.
It's so powerful, and I want to see what his number one pick of Vaporeon
does.
Yeah, brings to the table. But I guess we can swiftly move on to the next match, which is Stantlers v Caterpies, which is probably another result people did not expect.
People were not expecting this.
I'm sorry, Isaiah, but like I said, I did not expect
your boy.
It's not a slight to Isaiah. It's Jacob always performs very, very well. And have a newcomer come in the league.
Yeah. I'm going to open the floor to Isaiah to say whatever he wants about that match.
Yeah, so going into it, I've already met Jacob before, and just the thought that knowing his track record, how he plays, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's in the right hands is dangerous, though it's very basic in the terms of set up screens, have your mon set up, and sweep the floor.
Yeah.
And we definitely prepared for this. We definitely, brick breaks, defogs. We were not going to let him do this.
Yeah. And
running through the test matches constantly, I was very fearful of that Klefki, that Gliscor, and the Gyarados. Many of which he didn't even bring.
Yeah.
His Klefki, I don't think it set up any screens other than Reflect, but that was gone.
Yeah.
His Mew, his Mew just kind of took a Flare Bits right from the get-go. Gyarados, no Dragon Dance. I think he was just afraid early on. Like, I don't know what, because he went for.
It could be hard to set up at times. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely.
I want to say I had Darmanitan out, and he went for an Ice Fang, predicting, I think, maybe Latias.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
but Kobalian came out.
Oh yeah, this is
Oof.
that is one play. Jacob said that he did misplay on that one.
Yeah.
It was going for that Ice Fang or something along those lines. I do think he did have Dragon Dance. I just don't think he ended up using it. Maybe.
I think we were talking about it. He was really thinking that a Thunderbolt was coming his way.
Okay.
But he definitely had a berry to
the
counteract it.
Wakan.
The Walkenberry.
Yeah. There was one thing that Jacob's new name in Discord is Fuck Accuracy. Because he did miss a play rough. It's hard to tell like how influential that misplay rough is, because I mean it would have killed Hydreigon, and then he would have had another turn to like give someone a Thunder Wave, and then like you at that point you have no idea how that's gonna affect, because you could get paralyzed. You don't know. But I will say, some people think it didn't matter that much. Like Evan said, he felt like it didn't really matter that much. Jacob felt like it really did bring the wind out of his sails. I can't really say. You don't really know how that's going to turn out.
My stance on accuracy is, I think it was a Blunder video maybe. He talked about he was doing something, playing something on the ladder, and someone kept missing Focus Blast, and he just kept referring it as the tax. And that's really is you're paying the tax of using a high power move. So it's one of those things where it's unfortunate, but you go into it knowing that there is the chance this is going to miss. So you can't, and I don't think Jacob was like, I'm so mad, I would have won if this happened, but you can't.
No, yeah.
It's impossible to say, and that's always a risk. So it's either something you work around, which Jacob generally does. I know he's someone who opts for low power, high accuracy moves.
Yes.
That's just he paid the tax this time.
He did, and that's when. So when Isaiah says we set up things like brick break and stuff, he means like I helped him do some like mock battles, and we were doing mock battles, and he would like throw ideas out, and I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea, that's not a good idea, and when I made a mock battle for Jacob's team, I put Dazzling Gleam on that Clef Key because I was like, I don't think Jacob's going to do Play Rough. And sure enough, he did Play Rough and he missed it. So
that's interesting.
And, thinking about the statuses, my go-to plan was I didn't really think Hydreigon was going to survive after, taking one hit. I mean, he was going to take the one hit and then die the next. And whoever's coming next was going to take the status, and it was going to make Hippowdon do it. Because really for this match, he didn't serve the biggest purpose. I mean, with Klefki already about to die, even if it would reflect up, Earthquake would have finished the job.
Yeah.
If he brought Zeraora, that would have been its own thing. But really, I wanted him out there for the sand, stealth rocks, and just, take some of this Rocky helmet.
Yeah. He did bring Rocky.
That's what it does. That's my set.
Yeah, so I think in the end,
boy.
Isaiah brought like 4 Pokemon that could get rid of screens, because that's what you got to do with Jacob sometimes.
That's what you have to do with Jacob, yeah. You get screens and you got to phase them out.
On to the next one.
On to the next, we get another win from Jake.
Jake is on a freaking roll, man.
It's that Picky
this
Peck,
one,
man.
though, he switched things up. He didn't lead Picky Peck this week,
No,
which is what Nick expected. He led Toxapex and set up some Toxic Spikes, and Nick never really recovered from that.
Yeah, I think it is a little foolish to expect Pick-a-Peck lead. I think it would just be good to, like,
just
be ready to
play around it, be ready for Picky-Peck lead.
But to, like, dedicate some lead to a Pick-a-Peck lead or something along those lines is probably not a good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time Jake has usually opted for higher offense, pretty fast-paced teams using a lot of Mega Blastoise, a lot of Heatran, a lot of Salamence. And I believe against Nick, he went for a really bulky, really slow, just rise and grind kind of team.
Yeah.
And that caught Nick off guard, because Nick does have a fast-paced, more offensive set that you get with Ninjask and the like.
And Nick brought basically nothing that could break a Toxapex, it seemed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge.
I'm surprised with that, because he has Necrozma, who I feel like could pack the power.
I was just
after
gonna
a calm
mention
mind.
didn't he have 5 psychic types coming into this season?
Yeah.
And he brought nothing that consistently did over half to that Toxapex. It just set
Yeah,
up.
that'll lose you a game one way or another.
Trust me, I know this personally.
And there's one more thing that kind of feeds into the whole like Jacob doesn't know everything about Pokemon, but he's just good at games, I guess, is the general thought of this. He brought Ice Beam on his Ninetales.
I love it. He actually brought his Ninetales.
Well, he brought his
Nice.
Ninetales, but he brought Ice Beam instead of Blizzard, which is
Instead of
100%
Blizzard.
accurate in the like that's
in the hail.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
You know, just let Jake do Jake. It's working
Yeah,
for him.
Jake. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna tell
as-
Jake what to do, but I mean, you can probably afford to run Blizzard with
Yeah.
your Ninetales.
So our next match was Ian versus Greg. And I talked to Ian in depth about this match. He specifically requested that we feature his because he hasn't had a match featured yet on the podcast. So this is the new look Greg, the new look Typhlosions after some insane roster shakeups and a whole bunch of stuff going down. And in the end, they're kind of the same look Typhlosions. So Ian's team, I was at Ian's house prepping for my battle against Chris, and then he went over his team against Greg with me. And the first thing I noticed is Conkeldurr absolutely destroyed Greg's team. And then watching the battle, I can 100% confirm Conkeldurr absolutely destroys Greg's team. There was a section in the middle, 15 turns in or so, where Conk was in, and he was just throwing around attacks like he was doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and nobody could tell him otherwise. And Greg played, I want to say interestingly, but also poorly around that. At one point, he had Mammothswine in, and his Mammothswine was an interesting set. More on that in a second. He had Mammothswine in front of Conkeldurr, and instead of opting to switch out, he went for a knockoff that was not very effective to knock off the Assault Vest on Conkeldurr, which ended up having almost no
Made no difference.
no implication later on, no significance in the match because Greg has a highly offensive physical team. And Conkeldurr was able to do about 95% damage with a Drain Punch and restore.
Oh my
He was
God.
down in the mid-yellow, and he was finally getting worn down, and he just got his engines revved right back up and was able to keep going on this rampage. Another thing Greg did, I think this was his biggest misplay early on, was he has Kyurem Black, who, as we know, is one of the strongest Z users. I think he might be the strongest Z user, with Z Freeze Shock on 180 based attack.
Yeah, I think he might be 170, but
Is he 170? He's
might be.
got stupid high. Once it's over 150, who cares?
yeah.
He has stupid high attack with a stupid powerful move that can just nuke anything even resisted. And instead he ran Z Mammothswine, Z Earthquake. He used it on Jolteon behind a Reflect after switching in on the Jolteon. So Ian would be foolish to keep Jolteon in against a Mammothswine. So Ian switched out, and I forget, it may have been Conkeldurr or Tangrowth, took the Z Earthquake behind a Reflect, resisted for about 30% damage. So not only was it a quick use of a Z move for something where he could have killed Jolteon with an Earthquake anyway.
Yeah.
It also showed very early on that it wasn't the terrifying Z Kyurem. So Ian didn't have to play around the fear of a Sub-Zero Slammer the entire time. He could work his way. And then Kyurem didn't come out to the end, was a set built around countering Scizor, which was interesting to me because Scizor is a very hard counter to Kyurem.
Yeah.
And I don't personally like to build counters for Pokemon that are counters of that Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it was a defensive Dragon Tail and Rocky Helmet Kyurem set that at most could phase Scizor out with a Sword Stance, but could still only take 2 bullet punches. So it wasn't a great counter to Scizor, and it ended up, the only reason at all that this wasn't a 6-0 is because the Dragon Tail switched one of the Pokemon that was at low HP into Stealth Rocks. So it was really by random chance that one of Ian's Pokemon died. There was 2 that would have died to Rocks, and it switched into one of those 2. So Ian's team matched up well against Greg's, and Greg he didn't play the best that he could have with the team that he had, especially considering he had Celesteela, which is a fantastic Scizor lead, or Scizor counter, and he used Celesteela early. He tried to go for Thunder Wave a couple times on Conkeldurr, who famously packs Guts and doesn't care about paralysis, and also Ian's Milotic, which it can run, Miracle Scale? That doubles its Marble Scale, and it doubles its defense when it's got a status.
I think it's 1.5.
So I know, increases defense.
Yes.
I don't know
we have to be accurate. This is the analysis cast. We got to be accurate with our numbers here.
God,
big brain.
That's kind of disgusting, isn't it?
But Ian's team is not one for anyone listening for the future. Don't bring status against Ian's team. Find another way to do it.
I'm gonna do it regardless.
Status really helps his team a lot more than it helps yours.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell me what to do.
It really seems like Greg plays like a really unorthodox team setup.
Absolutely.
You know, when we battled last week, you know, his, like as we mentioned before, off recording, he didn't bring Shadow Sneak on his Mimikyu, and Mimikyu would have swept majority of my team after Swords Dance, and I'm just thinking like,
yeah, your team is very Ghost weak,
and he didn't bring it. I'm just like, alrighty then,
we'll take it.
Yeah,
I was like, sweet, all right, cool.
Yeah, we take those.
I think he tries a bunch of my stance on Greg's situation here is he just needs to try some very orthodox standard stuff before trying to dive into deep crazy stuff or go into loads of roster changes. But he's already done that. I think if he would have just slowed down and just used some, you know, I think he preps from like an inappropriate angle, like it doesn't work right. And I think he is one of those people that tries to bring heat sets for the sake of bringing heat sets, not because it's actually not because it's actually useful to them this match. So that's enough about that match, though. Ian got his time in the light. We're going to go into this final match, and I'm going to let Raul take off and talk about the Weedles versus the Ludicolo's, which is yet another
third
match.
Upset.
Yeah, a match that I would call an upset this week.
Okay, so here's how it went down. I won. Okay, now I'm just playing. Okay, so seriously, if I'm being honest here, I feel like I should have lost this because
how very honest of you.
Yeah.
Because usually Cheryl, she's no joke. Like, she's a serious opponent, and it's just you don't want to sleep on her. But
I would say that was still the case for this battle. She didn't play like a joke or anything. You just happened to play well. You can give yourself some credit here, Raul.
Oh, I mean, no, I was about to get to that point. I was going to get to that point. Unfortunately, she, I felt like, God, I can't talk. Okay, so anyways, yes, I did my homework. I looked up on what to do with some of her Pokemon. Like, I was really afraid of, let's see, what one of her Pokemons was it? Her Mega Diancie, her Dragonite, and her Volcanion. Those mons were pretty scary.
Yeah.
I hate Volcanion.
Yeah.
Yes, so do I. And I had my Captain Fluffpuff Mega Altaria for that Volcanion to survive like at least 2 minutes.
That's a great check. Except it does get Sludge Bomb, but otherwise a great counter.
Sludge Bomb. And Cheryl did get like 2 Sludge Bomb poisons and a Flame Body Burn through that match.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah. She got so many status on my mons. But you know what? In a way, it didn't really matter because I had like 2 mons who were just out there, all attack, all defense.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to do what they had to do. Now,
tell us about the sets you ran, Raul.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they had to do what they had to do. What was Coco running?
What was Coco running? Honestly, Coco was running a Life Orb with max attack, and I do believe
we love to see a physical Coco.
Yes. Pretty much what my plan was with that Coco was pretty much what I was going to do with it last week. Just have it hit hard, chip down a lot of her mons to where like another Pokemon I had in the back to sweep up the rest of her team.
Who was
Now-
your other Pokemon you had in the back?
That was Haxorus.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Haxorus got burned from Talonflame because of Flame Body.
Flame Body will
And
get
I
you.
was like, well, crap. That sucks. So I ended up switching out to my Ferrothorn, who...
The
honestly-
offensive presence known as Ferrothorn.
Well,
Yep.
throughout this match, there were, I think, a couple instances where Ferrothorn and Fortress were just like sitting and staring at each other.
Yes, I was gonna
Ferrothorn
say
has
that.
decent offensive stats, though.
It does, yeah.
yes,
It's like
yeah.
nearly 100, I think.
Yeah,
that-
and it gets powerful moves too.
That-
High base power. Its gyro ball is sickeningly
I was
powerful.
like, yeah, that gyro ball is no joke because
Well, against the Fortress, it's not, but...
Well, yeah.
but like she was setting up 2 dragon dances right in front of my Ferrothorn, and 2 gyro balls just killed
That'll
that.
obliterate it. Yes.
Yeah, one of the problems was Cheryl switched into an attack that immediately broke her Marvel scale. What is it? Multi-scale.
That's
Multi-scale,
multi-scale.
yes.
That's what I got confused with the Milotic one. I was like, I know it's an M word, and I
Yeah.
can't remember what word it is because I know multi-scale is Dragonite.
So
And
her-
I was trying to have
Go ahead.
I was trying to have some stealth rocks out just to break that multi-scale because multi-scale is a pain in the pain. but-
Multi-scale is the pain in the ass.
Yeah. So I think what Cheryl expected was that Raul was going to set up rocks that turn so she could switch in before those rocks were down, which I would say was a
That's a
move
good play.
I would expect.
That's a good play.
But Raul did not do that. Raul just gyro balled.
Yep, I did a gamble.
That's honestly, that's not
I'm
a bad play
desperate.
either. That's a play I would weigh. I almost think if I were to play it, I would have played Raul's way, where I'd be like, well, if I can't get rocks out, if I'm risking Dragonite coming out, what I'd want to do right now is guarantee damage on something. And if it hits Dragonite, you can 2-hit KO it after that and Leech Seed.
Yeah.
because
So-
like it's already setting up in front of me. Let me do as much damage as I can to it as possible
Yeah.
before it
so
starts like sweeping up.
I see why Cheryl switched it in there, but when she did switch it in there, she ended up taking damage, breaking multi-scale, and then
2 Dragon Dances
Yeah.
is greedy.
Two
Mhm.
Dragon Aces greedy, but I think what it was she might have gone in with the thought of I'm gonna get 2 Dragon Dances off of this because like maybe she prepped that way because like she knew multi-scale would do that or something.
Right.
And
It's
maybe
easier to do that
she-
with Dragonite.
Yeah, and maybe she then had plans like Dragonite needed to be +2 to take down specific mons on Raul's team, so she might have just felt like she needed to do that. But yeah, it was definitely greedy.
But my favorite part throughout the whole entire match was towards the end where her Fortress was staring down at my Ferrothorn. And she said, "Well, GG. Oh, hey, watch this." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And all I seen was Fortress use self-destruct explosion. I'm like, "No!" And
The
then
gentleman's
just-
forfeit.
Yeah, the Fortress like exploded on Ferrothorn and did like 12 damage. And then died.
I'm sure.
Still, it was like it was kind of heartbreaking because they had
Yeah.
like a little bond going on.
Yeah, it was
and-
like 2
Jesus
brothers. It was like brother.
But that's pretty much how my match went. Ferrothorn was kind of my MVP.
Yeah.
I feel like I have an equally as unclear perception of your match before and after your commentary of it.
Thank you.
It was like just a lot of adjectives just thrown out there.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Big
yeah, then I brought in
boom.
I brought
Big
in a
win.
Pokemon to do some work. And it's like, you brought in what Pokemon to do what work?
Yeah, he's like, I brought some Pokemon
You know
to do
what?
some work. I had one
I had
Pokemon
something in the back.
Coco was tremendous.
I showed up with
I'm
6
really-
and I left with 3.
I was really, really tired. Okay, I only got like half hours of sleep.
All right.
All right,
big
now
win.
let me talk about my battle.
Yeah, this big battle.
Just huge.
So the only thing I can assume is the impending aura of Mega Camerupt scared Chris so much that he was unable to get in contact with me when I tried to contact him. So I'm counting this one as a Mega Camerupt 6-0. And actually, it's going to be a 7-0 because I'm not sure that he didn't KO Chris in the process. So
Yeah.
that's 7 extra KOs for Mega Camerupt.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
just gonna say that Ian and I might have something to say about you giving Cameron up to 7 KOs for this match, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still going to try it.
Yeah, yo,
Isn't
pop off, my son. Go ahead. Yeah, so this is a forfeit, which is something we always try to avoid in the league. But
No
it
one
happens.
likes to see them. I don't feel good about it. I'm not happy. I'm happy with the win in my column. I would have loved to have gotten that win regardless. I did feel confident about my team. I mean, I'm always going to say that I'm going to win because you have to have that mentality to be a winner. But it would have been a great fight. Chris always puts on a good show. I think it would have been really fun. It would have been a nice challenge for me. And instead, I get this easy loser win, and now everyone's going to make fun of me and call me a loser winner. And I don't want to be that.
You loser winner.
Yeah, see, it's
You're
already
always a winner in my
starting.
book.
And the way forfeits work in our league is they are 0-0 wins. So Sachet will not get any better differential off of that.
Which means I'm really behind Jake now.
Yeah,
Maybe-
and
Exactly where I expected to be at the beginning.
Maybe that
of the
was
season.
all part of Chris's plan, was just to sabotage you.
the thing is,
And-
like, it's so hard to decide how we handle forfeits. Because,
It
like,
is.
now that I think about it, maybe a 3-0 or a 6-3, however we want to word it, might have been, like, a more favorable
This
way
one
to get
is
it done.
especially detrimental to me, though, because it was an out-of-conference battle.
Yeah,
So the standings don't really help or hurt my conference either.
yep.
It does for everyone else, but for me, like, that's not an extra loss for people I'm going against for playoffs.
Yeah.
And I have a pretty tough road to playoffs because I have Zach next week as well. So the forfeit was not ideal for me without anything added to my differential.
Yeah, I think one reason we avoided giving winners points is because some people were just super unavailable, and we didn't want to award people for being extremely
Right.
unavailable.
Yeah, and I
but
understand. Like, I'm not saying we need to
No,
change the
no, no,
system. It's
but
just, it's unfortunate.
I'm not saying you are saying that. I'm saying I am thinking that might be something we have to do.
I think we'll discuss it. We'll have a long time to talk about rule. So,
But we should probably get on to the next
Yeah,
subject.
so now
Yeah.
we're gonna go into conference standings after all of that. So here you can see the standings. You can see that there is only one undefeated team remaining, and that is Evan. I took my loss to Dan, and you will notice that Dan jumped quite a few spots off of that win.
Holy.
So Dan
good for
is
Dan.
yeah, Dan is all the way up in second place in the Eastern Conference.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Isaiah is 2-2 now. He moved up a spot above Chris. He is right behind Cheryl. Or no,
Congratulations,
no.
Raul.
I had it backwards. Cheryl is the Weedles. Isaiah is the
Yes.
Caterpies. Isaiah
Isaiah's
is all the way up
Caterpies.
here. So Isaiah is in the like playoff potential spot. I'm pretty sure we're doing top 4 from each conference.
Oh boy.
So where Isaiah
This
is
is
sitting
what's
right
hard
now
about
is
such
conference.
short
So
seasons,
is
too,
the-
is every single battle matters.
and we're halfway through. Yeah. So
Yeah, we're
you know,
halfway done.
Half of the
We're
matches
halfway
are
in.
already
It's
already
pretty
gone.
much all up in the air. The differential is going to hurt me a lot.
Yeah, and like while we can say that the Western Conference is quote unquote better, our conference is definitely more competitive.
The Western
yes.
Conference.
Eastern Conference is extremely competitive. We've got over half the teams are tied at 2-2 right now. So I mean, anyone could end up in the top. I could lose out and drop out of playoffs.
Yep.
So you never
And
know.
you'll have to pay attention to tiebreakers and everything as well.
Yeah, and we also have to remember the forfeit from Chris. I don't know if we are keeping the same forfeit playoff rules for this or not, but that's something we'll have to kind of keep in mind.
Yep, that's up to Evan.
And I definitely want to make a prediction here now. You see that?
We'll get to predictions.
Are you a season prediction?
Season prediction.
Okay, let the man speak.
Let's hear it.
Your boy's about to make the biggest upset you've ever seen.
Oh, okay. Oh no, this is a next week. This is a next week prediction, not a season prediction. We've been lied to.
I'm gonna win the whole thing.
Oh, okay. He's gonna win the whole thing. That's the season prediction.
Hey, last season there was someone who was sitting under 500 at week 7
Yep. That would
and then came to win the whole championship. So
So
I've seen crazier things happen.
standings. This is how I've always felt. Standings don't really mean all that much.
Standings don't mean anything. I mean, they mean enough whether you're in the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
But the talent gap is not far at all in this league. Everyone plays well. It comes down to matchups and it comes down to luck.
Yeah. There are some people in this league that say, they believe that record does matter and it is important, and because like this is a sample to show how good you are, but it's like, you know, there are circumstances that can change matches throughout the
In
entire
single
season.
elimination like this, where you just get pretty much one battle against each person, it really doesn't say much.
Yeah, I mean, it says that you did well enough to get in the playoffs. See what you do from here. So
I just did this for fun.
yeah, I mean, I do it for
the
fun
thrill
too.
of battle.
This is
Yeah,
just a hobby.
No, this is my job.
so yeah,
You guys are taking this pretty seriously.
I'm just interested to see how our conference shakes out, because I can't really
I
tell
am
you
too.
who's gonna be in the top 4 here.
I like how I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm the straight middleman.
Yeah, you're at
Zero,
zero.
differential. But then everyone's negative below me and everyone's positive. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
And I'm just
that's
up
how
there.
Nick ended his season. I think 7-7 with a 0 differential.
I believe
he
he
was
did.
the most neutral you could be.
Wow.
So maybe you could be that.
That was my goal last season, because I didn't think I was winning the championship early on. I was like, I'm trying to go exactly 500.
Yeah, I mean, and you can thank Raul for being where you are, because Raul beat Cheryl. So
Yeah.
You're welcome, Zesha.
you're gonna need people to
Oh, what?
continue.
Hold on.
Isaiah, not Zesha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me at all.
Take
Zesha doesn't
back.
care.
You know what? I take that back. Hey, you're welcome.
And I know we mentioned it, but I just want to keep looking at this, like the differentials here. We've got a plus 18,
Oh my
a
god.
plus 2, and then 3-1 with a -1 differential, followed by
Yeah, but
2-2 with a plus
look
7.
at the excitement value in my battles. My battle against Ian and against David came down to single plays.
Yeah,
They were fun. They were exciting.
yeah, and
They
Ian
were good.
So Ian had lost, like against you, had losses that were very close, and then Ian has wins that are very wins
Yeah.
by at a very large margin. So he's only 2-2, but he has a plus 7, which is almost as good as my differential is at 3-1. So it's pretty interesting. And Greg is still just struggling right now, but maybe he'll. Oh,
That's
I wanted to
okay.
ask you, Raul. I forgot when you were talking about your match. Are you still getting like tips and stuff from Jacob? Are you?
Oh yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, Jacob. I asked Jacob about some ideas with my team. I'll there's my idea of a team, and he'll go like, okay, but why are you bringing this on? I'm like, oh boy.
Bro, why don't you ever ask me for help?
Well,
You're not a
something
tier
against-
1 coach, Zashay. Stop.
That's true. That's true. Never
sorry.
mind. Question
Never
was
mind.
asked.
Put me back in my place.
I mean, Raul used to have the tier 1 top team coaches of the world.
Me and Isaiah and I helped him draft his team before.
And he went and he
Mostly
came
Zach.
down to the finals.
But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into the rosters.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened. Actually, this isn't even accurate to last week. I don't think.
Is it not?
No, because Jacob has been so extremely
Oh.
busy.
Yep.
So
Greg has replaced.
Yeah, this graphic is doing absolutely nothing for you guys. We're just gonna get off of it. Maybe
do
we'll have a better one
predictions.
for you next week. We're gonna go into predictions. So we are heading into week 5, the latter half. This is the interdivisional week or interconference week, whatever we call it. So this is like showdown of Eastern versus Western, and we're gonna see
we should see who performs better. Which conference beats each conference?
Yeah, I would love to see like which conference emerges this week. Just like to look at that specifically.
Insert NCAA music.
Somebody get Lee Corso on the phone.
So this is the first match we're looking at is Stantlers v Firos. This is Jacob versus David. Also
I
some
think that'll be good.
yeah, some insider information, I suppose. I don't think this is too like private to disclose
personal.
or not. Yeah. Jacob might be thinking about dropping out of our league if he feels that he doesn't have time for it. He's just been extremely busy with everything.
He's very
lately.
busy.
Oh no.
And he is a streamer. His name is Gabu Man. You should probably check him out if you're listening to this and you haven't checked him out yet. And he's been kind of forced to neglect his stream for this, so like we appreciate him being here and doing this.
We love Jacob.
Yeah, we love
Jacob,
Jacob.
I
but
love
we
you.
Understand.
Yeah, we understand if
You're
he's
my
gotta drop out.
favorite Jake.
But anyway, moving into this, if Jacob is here, and is battling Jacob v David, I mean, which should be a pretty interesting matchup in my opinion.
I think that'll be a good match. I think it'll be better than record implies.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna mention. Both of them. So I don't know David. I say this every single week, but I don't know David. But from impressions everyone else has, is David is pretty good, but his record doesn't really show that he's very good right now. And Jacob's record is definitely not showing how good Jacob is right now. So I think these are both two teams that are looking for a way to prove
they're
themselves
looking for some
more.
kind of glory against each other.
Now, have these two battled before in the past?
I believe so in past seasons.
I would imagine.
David was in the first couple seasons of PBL, but before us.
Yeah, so
because I was going to say, hopefully David is ready for whatever Jacob has underneath his sleeves. You know, how he...
I don't feel bad about kind of diving deeper into this one because I don't think either of them really listen to this, but especially David. But I think Jacob will find ways to play around David's team. I think Jacob might have a lot of reflex set up this match because David just has lots of physical monsters. So just focusing strictly on reflect might even do the job. So I'm going to just throw it out there, and I think Jacob is going to pick up a win if he is still in the league for this week.
I'm also going to predict Jacob as well, just because David's team doesn't do much outside of its insane firepower.
Yeah.
And Jacob plays around that well. So if he gets screens up, if he brings bulkier mon, if he sets statuses and everything like that, it's going to be hard for David to just power through that. And that's really what his team does best, is just power through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going to agree with you too. Jacob's probably going to win this week because, like I said, Jacob, his play style, it's kind of gives me a headache.
Yeah, he's very hyper offense, but I feel like with you under his wing, you might start doing hyper offense. So I'm very interested to see how you start.
His
start
protege.
playing hyper offense. Yeah. Isaiah, do you want to weigh on this at all? Do you have any?
Battling, Jacob, I wholeheartedly believe, even though he didn't have as much prep time as he wanted against me, I just have a little more flexibility. He, without a doubt, I mean, him just doing his base model of screens and setting up, that's still something that's not, to scoff at, just as is, without too much prep, just playing smart, playing as he knows, playing with the mons he knows very well, Mew.
Yeah.
I think he can very much turn this into a win.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He has not brought Smeargle for the past 3 matches.
I really expected him to bring it, and I played the most meme move I could think of in double kick. Double kick, outspeed that Smeargle.
I've always thought that, yeah. Yep, I've always wanted to do that.
He
Either
brought
that or Bullet Seed or Dual Chop for dragons.
Yeah,
I thought about that last season because he also had...
Yeah, so when we were doing mocks, Isaiah just threw that idea out there. It was pretty funny, and he ended up speed creeping so it would just outspeed a Smeargle, and then double kick would KO, break through a sash. It was pretty funny.
And he didn't bring it.
It was a pretty funny idea. I was like, you could do it. I'd laugh my ass off if I just watched Cobalion come up and double kick.
And when we practiced it, it worked every single time.
Yeah,
Smeargle was not living.
All right, speed round through the rest of these.
Okay.
Speed round. Ludicolo versus Picky Pex. Raul, if Jacob is helping you, I think you can take on Jake. I think you have.
If anyone's
Pokemon...
got the team to do it, yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say. I think you have the Pokemon to take on a Toxapex and a Heatran, and what's it called, the Salamence. So,
I feel very confident in myself for this week. I feel like I can do it. So
you have the OU core to take on his OU core. So.
Yes.
I mean, just looking at Picky Peck, some of his main contestants. Your Haxorus and your Coco puts in a lot of work.
Even his Hawlucha.
Coco puts in a ton of work.
Coco and Hawlucha.
You're a threat.
So I will actually have faith and put Raul. I think Raul will win in an upset. That's my upset lock in.
I'm gonna say Raul as well. That's my upset.
Yay!
All right.
PZ versus Hoopas. Zashay and I can sit here and both just talk about how much we think we're gonna win. I don't really know.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
information...
I'm not gonna say I don't think I'm gonna win, but I'm gonna say this is gonna be a really hard battle for me.
Oof, God, this is really difficult for me to choose because
It shouldn't be.
because I mean you both play
the
really.
lineup says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
This one's going to come down a lot more to matchup than it is skill or anything else. It's
You bring the wrong mon, that's it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I have many of the right mons. So I have faith in myself because I'm the best battler on the planet, but Zach is pretty close and his team is really good.
Yep.
All right, next one.
Yeah, Typhlosion v Dunsparce. So
Dunsparce.
If he
Dun-
shows
close.
up,
Dunsparce stays close.
Hold
He
on.
comes.
If Dunsparce shows up to battle, this could be Greg's first win
Yes, I was
via
about-
forfeit.
That's
Oh
an
my
insult.
God.
Take it back.
This
You
could
should
be.
never have to say that.
I mean, it could be. You never know.
That is terrible.
If Chris shows up, Chris is a good battler. I think Chris will win.
I do,
Especially
yeah.
if Greg continues to try like weird, tricky stuff instead of just getting his feet on the ground before he tries to run.
I don't know if that's going to work
Typhlosions.
against anyone. It'll be against standard laddered Chris,
Well, yeah, I guess maybe.
but also his ladder teams work.
yeah, like Chris, yeah. Well, Chris does just have ladder teams. They are things that do still have or synergy with each other. So
So we'll see what Father Time has to say about this one.
All right, next one.
next one is Sneasels v Caterpies.
Your boys.
All right,
So
Isaiah.
Hey, you better do it to him.
I got to do it.
You beat Jacob. There's a possibility that you could beat Evan.
Take down
but
both
Evan,
the tier ones, dude.
dude, you will be tier 1 if you do that. Like
Yeah.
it's undisputed.
There'll be no doubt my abilities, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. That's my prediction.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna do it.
root for you. I'm gonna say that you're gonna win.
And even if I do lose, I want to make sure that it was just not easy for him.
Yeah, at least put up a fight.
I want to make sure. Has he lost any mons? Like has he?
No, he's lost Mons. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought this dude was just completely annihilating his.
No.
I'm gonna say Evan's good, but he's not that good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna look through how he normally plays, see how consistent that's been. He might be trying to change it up for me. He definitely knows that I'm coming. He definitely
Yeah.
he saw the match with Jacob, and he might.
This is like WWE. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
coming for you.
I'm coming for you, brother.
He knows I'm on the way.
And you get 3 whole minutes for playtime. Yeah, I want to be his first loss. Well, his first loss. I want to take it. I'm gonna take it from him.
Yeah, I have faith that you can put up a really good fight. You just have to be ready to deal with some slow, methodical play.
He will wear you down.
Yeah, there are things that are just going to be difficult for you to break. He likes to have really fat things with a reliable recovery that is just hard to break. So this is things you're going to have to look out for. Just because you're like one of my best friends, I'm going to go for you.
I think as much as I'm rooting for Isaiah, and I would love to see Evan not be undefeated, I'm still pulling for Evan in this
Yeah.
one.
Fair enough.
I'm making the safe bet. And it's nothing
just-
against Isaiah. It's
No.
just that Evan's very consistent.
Isaiah, I
Yes.
think he hates you.
I'm
And I hate
throwing
you.
it out there that I am absolutely going with my heart and not my head with this prediction. I'm just throwing it out there, Isaiah.
I'm going. I'm pretty much what I'm doing.
Zach's first response to I won. He's like, "What?"
Yeah. he was like, I just battled Jacob. I was like, oh, nice, how'd it go? He's like, I won. And I was like, what? You won?
All right, let's get to the next one.
Scyther v. Weedles, which is actually a really nice matchup, I think.
This
Nick
is a
versus
nice
Cheryl.
match. But I really like Cheryl's team still.
Battle of the
And
Buds.
I
I
think
really
it
don't
has-
like Nick's team still.
Yeah, and I really hate Nick's team, so I'm going to go with Cheryl just based on that.
Yeah,
I'm going with Cheryl too.
I
Yep,
hope.
And I think she has the right counters to Nick's power moves.
Yeah.
She's got. I think Mega Dancy is going to be really great in this match.
Definitely.
It usually is, but I think it's really just going to show up against, especially against like Ninjask. It kind of shuts down entirely.
Yeah.
It doesn't let Nick play around with anything silly because he's got magic bounce and access to Calm Mind and other powerful moves. And I like Mega Dancy. I think it's hard to play against, and I'm not sure Nick has the Pokemon to play against it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of feel everything. Agree with everything you said there. We just had to get our like obligatory. We don't like Nick's team in. We need one of those in on every episode. I don't like.
I just
Nick's
still
team.
don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't understand how it works either.
I just don't get it.
And I want Cheryl to bring one home for Eastern Conference. I should have what I should have done is looked at all these matches and just voted for Eastern Conference every time.
Oh yeah, that would have been smart.
Yeah,
but whatever. So in that fashion, I'm gonna go with Dan versus Ian. I'm gonna go for Dan, even though Ian has some good things that can definitely counter Dan's team. Like
I think
Tangrowth.
Ian's team matches up very well against Dan's. Tangrowth and
Eastern
Conkeldurr.
Conference.
And the rain does nothing but help Scizor as well.
Yeah.
So I think Ian's got a really great matchup in this one. I think Ian plays well enough for this too. I'm going to go with my conference and go for Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Ian plays well enough and he understands rain well enough and stuff. But, last season Dan did beat Ian. I guess Ian had a team he was
Ian
less
had
comfortable.
He had a different team last season.
Yeah. But, I think Dan is pretty surprising with his rain teams when they're so synergistic.
Yeah, Dan is strangely good with rain.
And the thing is, we're also calling it a rain team. It's not just a rain team. It's also a
he
sand
could bring
team.
sand, yeah.
So you never really know.
Again, which doesn't hurt Scizor that bad.
Or Tangrowth.
Or Tangrowth.
So he's definitely got things to work through, but
it'll be interesting to see.
Dan is a creative person, so he might pull something out.
Which is why I'm going to root for him.
Any thoughts, Isaiah? You've battled Dan. You haven't really seen Ian much.
Yeah. I think Dan has a good chance. Cut out the niches that he tries to employ to spice up the match. Like that metronome that he pulled on me. It was nice.
Yeah, metronome.
It's not going to do you too much. I appreciate the change of pace. It was nice to see.
Yeah.
But it made small impacts.
Yeah.
Not enough to really shake up that match. And I think if he sticks to what he knows best, I think he has a solid chance.
Yeah.
Bringing it home for the boys out here.
Like sometimes he brings things that have fairly minimal impact, and then sometimes he brings things like Z Fly Thunderous, which is really like good. And if you look at
he's always mixing it up.
he had some quote that he got from Jacob of something like Thunderous has the same attack stat as Infernape, even though it's his lower attack stat. So I mean, it's not bad.
No.
His physical attack stat is still pretty good. So Thunderous is always spooky because he has so many coverage moves, and if he gets a free turn to Nasty Plot, he can break.
Or Agility.
Yeah. Well, I'm more scared of Nasty Plot personally.
I'm definitely more afraid of the Agility.
It depends on what team you have. Because like I had Pokemon that could survive attacks unless he was at +2 with like a Life Orb or +2 with a Z move or something, which I spent most of my time prepping against that. But anyway, I think that kind of concludes our podcast for this week. We actually got under an hour this time. Round of applause, everybody.
Look at us go.
Woo! Yeah!
Look at us go.
We did it. In your face, Dan.
Anyone want to do like their own little sign-offs?
No.
Well,
Jesus Christ, Raoul.
I got nothing. I had nothing.
We know.
Well,
I know. They're beautiful people.
Bye.